Hi everyone, welcome back. We are again back in the name of Lord Jesus Christ. Now, in this lesson, that we need to understand uh, probably few things that if someone has a doubt in mind that how come uh, the earth became a waste or earth became a ruin. The first of all, we presented two evidences in the first part. The first evidence is Genesis 1 verse 1, in which it says, in the beginning God created heavens and earth. For me, I don't require any other evidence because my God is a living God and He is supreme authority of everything. He is a sovereign Lord, so He does not require any evidence that He created everything perfectly. Now, suppose that is not sufficient for you, the second evidence I presented from 1 Corinthians chapter 14 verse 33, in which we read that we worship the God of order and peace. So that's an evidence. If God is an God of order and peace, He will not make anything disorderly, or He will not make anything which is waste or shapeless, or there is darkness in which life cannot grow. Dear friends, today I am going to give you another evidence. This one comes from Isaiah chapter 45 verse 18. So according to this verse, that it says, God did not create the world empty, but formed it to be inhabited. So if you believe in this one, that certainly God had no plan that the world has to be lie in ruin. So He has created the earth for the purpose of living beings to be inhabited. So I'm going to further go with our lesson on part 2. In the part 2, I'm going to focus on what became of Adam. So in the first part we saw what became of the earth, and we saw the earth became ruined. So the God intervened and rectified and made perfect. Now then, what became of Adam? First let's start with Genesis chapter 1 verses 26 and 27. So in these two verses we see God made man in His own image as well as in His own likeness. So it is the evidence that God made Adam perfectly. So we see two things here. First of all, God made Adam in His own image. Then we see God made Adam in His own likeness. So since God has created man in His own image and in His own likeness, that we all look like Him physically, for example, and we are supposed to be look like Him spiritually too. And so some of the likeness we might say, for example, we have presented from the part 1, 1 Corinthians chapter 14 verse 33, that God is God of order. So first of all, God is order, then God is love, God is peace, God is creative, God is mighty, and so there are so many likeness of God. So most of all, God is holy. So this is an important thing that you and me should understand this. God is holy. So I am sure when He made Adam also holy, because God is holy. So when we say that God made in His own image as well as in His own likeness, certainly He made Adam a holy person. He made him perfect. Okay, so when God made him, he put him in the Garden of Eden. God made an covenant with Adam. So what kind of covenant he had with Adam? So this is called Edomic covenant. There are two issues with this covenant. The first one is God given him the command to look after the land and to dress it and keep it good. And the second one is God has given the command that you may eat fruits from all the trees except from the tree of knowledge and good and evil. So in these two commands, we find that Adam was doing well with keeping the garden well. He was dressing it, working on it and maintaining it, and things were going well. Now, I am sure that you know, as I know, that God was having face-to-face interaction with Adam and Eve every day. How it's possible that God could have interaction or fellowship with Adam and Eve every day? That's because God has made them holy. As a result of God has made them holy, that there was nothing prohibiting them or nothing stopping them having a fellowship together on an equal and regular basis. So if we go to chapter 2 of Genesis and read verses 25, it says, the man and his wife were naked and they felt no shame. That means both Adam and Eve at that point of time, they were naked, but they did not know they were naked. Why? Because God's glory has covered them. They were in the state of a holy being. As a result of being a holy being, they did not know about their shame because it was not even known to them. As a result of this is evidence number 5 that we know that God has made both Adam and Eve perfectly. So chapter 2 of Genesis closes with this, telling us that both were naked, but they did not feel ashamed of being naked. Okay. As long as they were together and as long as they were having interaction or fellowship with God regularly, absolutely there was no problem. But as we go further to chapter 3, there is another third person getting introduced into the scene, which was the old Satan or the serpent. So the first thing we notice as the serpent comes in contact with both Adam and Eve, he is putting a question first to Eve, saying that, did God really say you must not eat from any tree? So he is creating a doubt in the minds of Adam and Eve. In fact, he is talking to Eve. So he is putting this question that did God say that you can't eat from any of the tree from the garden? So naturally, Eve telling the serpent what God has told Adam. She repeats the same thing to Satan. That means Eve knew that they were prohibited from eating from the tree of knowledge, which is knowledge of good and evil. So she knew that fact at that point of time. So when Satan heard what Eve told him, he said, no, that's not true. You will not die. As you eat the fruit, you will not die. And your eyes will be opened and you will be like God. And you will be like, knowing good and bad yourself. So Satan was enticing them. Satan was putting them in the place that you will become like God. We all know that Satan was thrown out of heaven because he thought himself to be better than God, equal to or better than God. As a result of that, he was thrown out of heaven. Now he is coming up with the same thing and proposing to Eve, the day you eat this, you will become like God yourself. So, she thought, he said, so I won't die, I'll become better, and I'm going to gain certain, some wisdom. So that's a fruit probably we need to, think of having it. And as a result of that, we see further, he looked at the fruit. This is an important thing that we have to notice. They have been living in the Garden of Eden ever since they have been created, but I don't think that they ever noticed that fruit ever. But now she is looking at the fruit and she saw it is desirable to be eaten, and it is pleasing to the eye, and it is desirable for gaining wisdom. So that's what the conclusion that Eve drew that time, that it was good. And as a result of that, she plucked the fruit and had some and gave it to Adam.